Mike was in Los Angeles. He was one of the first on the scene at Brentwood when Nicole was murdered. This is in 1995. His book, Story Hustler, is a must read. You can find it on Amazon. And I want to have Mike on because you were in the middle of all of this. And I'm just curious, when you heard the news this morning that OJ passed, Michael, what'd you think?
I feel like I can still sort of taste the mist in the air as we're standing around the crime scene and the hubbub. It was an amazing, and little did we know that it would lead to the trial of the century. So after spending most of our day at the crime scene and then bouncing up to OJ's big mansion on Rockingham, trying to get B-roll and anything, early day. This is just early crime scene reporting on a big scale. They let him go. They hadn't arrested him. The slow speed chase wouldn't happen now for a number of days after. But that initial day when it was all coming together and we're all trying to get over either our own skepticism or just, oh my God. I had just been through, it was a moment of sort of tabloid nirvana because in rapid succession we had OJ, Tanya Harding, the LA riots, Heidi Fleiss, the Hollywood madam, big, big stories for at least for Hollywood, for that little town. And so, but this just always felt different. It became the trial of the century and was an eye opener for America to see. I always thought it was sort of a Rorschach test, and probably more startling for white people than it was black people, because you had very different reactions among the two communities to the verdict, and you can understand where both sides were coming from, but they saw the trial in unique and very separate ways. And I think it's a fascinating study, still a fascinating moment in American history.
Did he do it, Mike?
People ask me that all the time. I know when I got there to the scene the morning and saw just the brutality that we could see from the crime tape of that murder scene. I remember discussing that with some of the people who were veterans at the scene, and this is a crime of passion. And the only way you go and try to hurt and screw people up that bad is if you love them to begin with.
Mm.
To hate and be that vicious, there needs to be almost that passion. And so I'm thinking, those are my instincts early on. I have heard every conspiracy theory and every theory that points to somebody, and I think they're all bullshit. So, being an old crime reporter, you think you follow the facts, and I think the facts have always pointed directly to OJ. But I posted this.
Yeah, you got some memorabilia there. I see behind.
Yeah. This was a photograph that was on a now defunct tabloid called Star Magazine.
Yeah,
I think it was on their front page, but is May dogging OJ as he's walking out of the Parker Center that day. It was a very significant moment as the story was unfolding. And so if and people you got to bear in mind, some years later there was a civil trial. Again, the standard of evidence is different, but OJ was found completely civilly liable for those killings and ordered to pay millions of dollars, not a penny of which I think he ever produced. But the criminal justice works in funny ways.